Hi, and welcome to episode 2 of the Abolitionist podcast. I'm Paul Van Zweel, and the aim of this podcast is to abolish slavery on earth by liberating minds on the plane of causality so that we can liberate bodies on the plane of effects. The topic of today's podcast is, are you a Satanist? This is the question we must ask ourselves once we gain an understanding of what Satanism is about. The answer might shock you and surprise you. When you talk to people about Satanism, the overwhelming majority will talk about the worship of the Christian devil or animals sacrificed by cultists in the woods. Even though some factions can practice these rituals, this is not an accurate portrayal of what Satanism is. Satanism is an ancient occult religion, and occult simply means hidden, whereby its practitioners keep specific knowledge about the human mind and the workings of the universe to themselves, so that they may wield it as a weapon over the ignorant masses they wish to enslave. They are master psychologists, and this gives them a huge power differential over the average misinformed and ignorant person. Satan comes from the Hebrew word shaitan, which means the opposer, the adversary, that which seeks to tear us apart. It is an entropic force. Satanism as an ideology has 4 main tenets, and these are egotism, moral relativism, social Darwinism, and eugenics. Fundamentally, Satanism is the worship of the self, which is why egotism is the primary tenet of this religion. So let me explain what these 4 tenets mean, and I'll also give some examples so you can get a clear understanding of where I'm coming from. So the first one, egotism. Service to self is life's highest goal. As such, it also means that service to self comes before doing what is right. This is rampant in our society. All you have to do is take a look on social media. It's flooded with narcissism and people who will do anything to make a quick buck. During the pandemic era, people would also go along with the disgusting mandates to avoid personal discomfort or unemployment. They would even attack those who stood against the evil. Every person has an ego or a personal identity, but putting that first at the expense of others is the hallmark of the satanic ideology. Right and wrong. Okay, second one, moral relativism. Right and wrong are whatever humans say they are. There is no such thing as an objective difference between right and wrong behavior. An obvious example is man's law, which has endless decrees on what may and may not be conducted by the slave class. In one area, you get sent to jail for possessing weed. In another area, it's not a problem. Licensure, passports, prohibition, taxation, and other forms of coercion and violence ordained by power-hungry psychopaths and carried out by their mindless minions, aka the police, are the moral relativists' wet dream. Social Darwinism. The most dominant and cruel humans should become the masters and rule humanity. People glorify these so-called alpha males who seek to acquire more status, power, and material bullshit for themselves. These are also the people in positions of power that rule over entire populations. Being ruthless and cutthroat, just so you can come out on top regardless of who you step on, is reptilian brain consciousness and not something to aspire to for anyone that has a conscience. And the last one, eugenics. The masters should determine who is allowed to live and who must die. An obvious example of this is the clot shot that we saw with the corona psyop. People get deceived and coerced to take an injection that has the potential to maim, genetically alter, and kill. I would say that many people are not at this level of evil except for when it comes to non-human beings. That brings me to the next point, our treatment of our animal brothers and sisters. When it comes to animals, we are the embodiment of Satan to them by definition of these 4 tenets. Killing, modifying, and exploiting innocent sentient creatures merely for taste, habit, tradition, and convenience is what monsters do. This is the true repugnant and brutally wicked side of humanity that we refuse to look at and change. And is it any wonder that we get treated the same way by people who claim to be our masters? That is the natural law of correspondence. As below, so above. As above, so below. So basically, the common person may think that they are a good person and that they represent the opposite of Satanism, but they are in fact a de facto Satanist, which means a Satanist in their behavior that they put out into the world, even if they do not identify with the ideology at a conscious level. Once you begin to view Satanism in this way, you will more likely than not begin to ask yourself, am I a Satanist?